This is the story of the Top Fuel Championship so far. We started back at Sydney Dragway at the East Coast Nationals. And what a race it is, a 468 for Corey McLenithan takes home the trophy. We then headed west to Perth, where we saw a hometown hero in the form of Mark Sheehan take home a popular victory. Oh, another engine explosion for Mark Sheehan, pushing out a head gasket again, I think, but it doesn't matter. The crew walk away, there's high fives. The championship stayed in Perth for the next round, and we saw some world record performances courtesy of some earth-shattering weather conditions. Oh, both cars moving around ever so slightly. And how's that? Wow, Damien Harris says, I'll take your 53 and I'll match you. That right there is the quickest side-by-side Top Fuel pass we have ever seen in this country. When the championship headed back east, we found ourselves at Willowbank Raceway for the Sandoz Super 3 Extreme Drag Race. Oh, clean greens on both sides of the racetrack, but Damien Harris gets a Top Fuel dragster about as sideways as you would ever want to try. I don't think he got across the centre line. It doesn't matter anyway because Wayne Newby takes the win. Welcome to Sydney Dragway. We're here for the Nitro Champs. It promises to be one of the biggest events of the season. We've got a big field of Top Fuel cars in the house ready to put on a show for this crowd that hasn't seen Top Fuel in almost 6 months. But before we get to that, let's have a look at our pairings for the first round of racing. This elimination format is a little bit different to what we usually see for Top Fuel. We're running an all-run 3-round format with the first round of racing set on championship positions. So Damien Harris, our championship leader, will get the bye run. Number 2 in points, Wayne Newby will take on Martin Stamatis. Darren Morgan will take on Mark Mariani, and Terry Sainty will take on Peter Gibberis in our first matchup of the first round. And that's where we find ourselves right now. We have got a huge crowd in the house right here in Sydney for this first round of racing in Top Fuel. Now, things are a little bit different for these guys this time around. They're running on a points-based format. You get points for the win, points for the loss, and you also get points based on your ET position of the round. So the quickest car of the round will get 8 points heading into the second round. Same thing goes for the second round, but when the third round rolls around, it's all about our 2 highest points earners running off for the win. And Peter Gibberis with a very solid start to the weekend. A 471 straight into the 4-second zone at over 490 kilometres per hour. That is a sensational way to kick off his Nitro Champs campaign. And it was just about a picture-perfect run right from the outset for Peter Gibberis. Terry Sainty, it looked like it was mixing up the cylinders, had a couple out on the left-hand side of the engine, and then the flames went a funny colour, and he saves it for another day.
It's pretty complicated. And like, these things are just so on edge all the time, and you know, sometimes you think you got it right and you get it wrong, and other times you think you got it wrong and you get it right. We've got an awesome crew chief and an awesome team, and that's obviously, you know, it's been displayed out there.
So the second pass of this first round of racing, it is our championship leader, Damien Harris, in the Rapasada Autosport International car. He's got a solo pass here, but you've got to remember there's still points on the line for low ET of the round. And he's looking very, very good to get them right now. Very strong pass, though not as quick as what we saw from Gibberis. A 478 at just on 470 kilometres per hour. Very good first pass for Harris. It looked pretty clean till the top end of the racetrack, though. The flames started going a bit of a funny colour as it was turning the tyres through the middle of the racetrack, and I think he just buttoned off before the finish line. That took the speed down a little bit, but still a very solid opening run from Damien Harris. Now it's one of our mouth-watering matchups of the first round of racing. Multi-time former national champion Darren Morgan, who's really been struggling this season as far as race wins go. He's had a very strong car, but the stars just haven't been aligning for him. He's up against the Make-A-Wish Australia Lafan Group Top Fuel dragster driven by Mark Mariani. strong side-by-side pass to half-track, but Mariani takes the win, and what a win it is. A 4.78 with a 2. Wow, runs within 1,000th of a second of the run we saw from Damien Harris just one pass ago. Top Fuel is on today. What happened to Darren Morgan? It just blazed the tyres before half-track. He pedalled it once. He saw that Mariani was well and truly gone. A little bit of smoke out of the car at the top end of the racetrack, so I'd say a little bit of work to do left for those guys coming into the next round of racing, but still 1 from 1 for Mark Mariani.
Yeah, well, we've always liked to strive towards, every race team wants to strive towards running a full season and not just winning the race day, but winning the race championship. It's something we're constantly looking into. As you know, these things are very expensive to run, but with good friends and good help and stuff that we've been trying to achieve lately by going to the Formula One, getting the Formula One people, and then teaching them about drag racing. The NRL, we took the car out to the NRL to try and get some of those fans involved. You start one of these cars up at an event where people they might have seen them on TV before. You start one up and then we give it the blip. When we go to these events, we give it the blips on the throttle. And that's when everyone's knees go weak and they're going, far out, I have to come and see that, you know?
Mark Mariani singing the praises of what Top Fuel is all about. And speaking of Top Fuel, we've got 2 of the biggest, baddest Top Fuel cars in the land on the track right now. On board with Martin Stamatis. Great to see him back on track after a couple of years away, a former national champion in his own right, taking on Wayne Newby, racing for Rapasada Autosport International in the second of the Top Fuel cars this weekend. Tyre smoke for Martin Stamatis, and a very early shut-off there for Wayne Newby. That's unusual. He'll take the points for the win, but as far as the ET points go, it's not going to work out too good for him. But looking at the run, it looked fairly clean to half-track. Stamatis was up in tyre smoke. He chose not to pedal the car, and it looked like maybe it just turned the tyres a little bit earlier than half-track, and Wayne Newby said, you know what, we'll roll out of the throttle, save it for the last 2 rounds of racing. Was dropping cylinders a little bit before half-track, so a nice clean run up until that point nonetheless. And for Martin Stamatis, it was just tyre smoke early on in the run, and you're not going to go fast when the car does that.
It's just such a complicated car to drive, and it really lets you know when it's unhappy.
So the way it shakes out, after the first round of racing, you get 20 points for the win, 5 points for the lose, and then points allocated for your elapsed time. Peter Gibberis is leading the way on 28, Harris in behind him on 27, Mark Mariani on 26, Newby, Morgan, Sainty and Stamatis rounding out our 7. Welcome back to Sydney Dragway. We are here. It's a beautiful night here in Sydney. It's nice and cool, very good conditions for going fast, and we got some of the biggest, baddest nitro cars on the planet on the grounds right now. We're set for a start with the second round of racing, and we know how the points shook out after the first round of racing, and one of the idiosyncrasies of this format is that the lowest placed car after the first round of racing, if there is any bye runs to be had, that car will get the bye run. Now that is Martin Stamatis this time around. He only came out of that first round of racing with 7 points. He finds himself on a solo pass here, so that's a guaranteed 20 points. But this, on its day, is one of the quickest cars in the country. It has run into the 450s at well over 300 miles per hour. Martin readies himself. We're set for a start. Looked like the car was eating itself up just a little bit at the top end of the racetrack, but how's that for a welcome back to Top Fuel? 479, only 456 kilometres per hour. I say only because it did look like the fire went out a little bit before the finish line. Let's have a look at the replay. You can see the flames were a little bit uneven, very, very fluffy on the right-hand side of the car, and then they start getting very orange at the top end of the racetrack. It was burning up a few parts, but still, that is a very, very good confidence builder for Martin Stamatis in his first event back after several years.
We've finally put down a full pass of 479. Still, we had a few cylinders out, so the potential for the car is good.
Next matchup for this second round of racing, and this is a big one in terms of the championship. We've got Darren Morgan, who needs to make up some ground on these Rapasada cars. He's starting to fall behind in this championship points race. He is taking on our championship leader coming into this event, Damien Harris. He was ahead by around about 29 points over his teammate Wayne Newby coming into this event. But Darren Morgan, if he wants any chance whatsoever of overtaking either of those cars, he needs to start putting some wins on the board here. Very, very focused, the eyes of Darren Morgan. He knows what he needs to do. Was a loser in the first round of racing, comes into this one with only 9 points on the board for the night. Oh, good close race, and it's the story of Darren Morgan's season. He loses another squeaker right there, so close at the finish line. 495 for Damien Harris, 383 kilometres per hour. It's a good run. It's in the 4-second zone, but I think it went away a little bit at the top end of the racetrack. And Darren Morgan, he got off the throttle just before Damien Harris, and I think that was what cost him the race here. Both cars looked like they were very, very conservative on the front half of the racetrack. Neither car looked like it was particularly pulling away from the other, but Darren Morgan, right about here, gets off the throttle just before Damien Harris does, and that right there was what cost him that race. Was pretty clean other than that. It was going to be a 4-second pass, but Morgan gets close to the centre line, says, nah, enough is enough. Next pair of cars, it is Terry Sainty taking on Peter Giberis. This is going to be another good matchup. Terry Sainty, the all-Australian built car out of Western Sydney itself. The billet 3-valve car, and it looks like Terry Sainty has got a problem. He's doing double duty this weekend, also racing in Pro Alcohol in the family's funny car. But unfortunately, it looks like he will not be able to take part in this race, which is great for Peter Giberis. That means that Peter Giberis will head into the third round with 2 wins from 2, plus the ET points for the evening. Remember, you need to finish in the top 2 highest points earners to race off for the winner and runner-up trophy at this event. It's a new format for Top Fuel, and it's really shaking things up. And with that, I think Peter Giberis is going to be in the box seat for a spot in the final round. A 472 at over 509 kilometres per hour. That's top speed of the weekend as well. Congratulations to Peter Giberis. He was on a solo pass in the end, but man, oh man, they had that thing hopped up. Look at the flames out of the pipes. It was clean. It was straight. He had to do a little bit of a correction just before half track, but he gets the win. He gets the points, and he'll have a big smile on his face.
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, this is what we all strive for, getting into a final, and then it's almost a 50-50 toss, you know, who wins. So I'm yet to win one here, so I dearly would love to win one, and we didn't come here not to win, so...
Final matchup of this next round of racing. It is crucial for both these drivers. For different reasons, though. For Mark Mariani, this is about a spot in the final round. He knows he needs to run quicker than that run we saw from Damien Harris, which was only a 490. If Mark Mariani wins the race and goes quicker than 490, he will find himself in the final round taking on Peter Giberis. On the other hand, we've got Wayne Newby, who also won in the first round of racing, but he did it with a very slow elapsed time. So as far as his elapsed time points go, he's a little bit down in the points score. This is going to be a cracker of a race. Oh, what a sensational race there. And Mariani gets the chocolates. What a run. 469. He's got his hands full in the braking area in the Make-A-Wish car as well, but he gets that thing pulled up, and a 469 takes the win. That's going to be enough to get him through to the final round. He will take on Peter Giberis. And as far as Wayne Newby goes, man, a 471. It's a spectacular run, but it's not good enough to get the win. It's not good enough to take the 20 points. That will relegate him out of the final round. We'll still see him back for the third round of racing, but Mark Mariani and the Make-A-Wish Australia Lefan Group Top Fuel Dragster, they will be through to the final round, and they will be racing off for the big trophy here at the Nitro Champs.
Mate, what can I say? See, I'm not usually flabbergasted, but we're going in the finals. and it's against our good friends Zibris with Premier Hire. They are a great family team, and we've been talking about going to the final together for ages. So hopefully we can put on a great side-by-side top fuel pass for everyone and come out the winner with the trophy.
Now we will see all the cars back for the third round of racing, but our final round, the one for the trophy, will be our two highest points earners, Mark Mariani and Peter Gibris, both on 54 points apiece. That's going to be a great race. We've got Harris in there as well on 51, Newbie on 57. It's shaping up to be a huge third round of racing. We're back for round 3 here at Sydney Dragway. Here it is top fuel. These cars put the nitro in the nitro chance, and this is what it's all about, the money round here in Sydney. This one is where we get to hand out the big trophy, and this is where it's all on the line. First matchup of the third round of racing. It is Darren Morgan taking on the Bellevue car of Martin Stamatis. Both these guys are no strangers to winning. They have had national championships in the past. Martin Stamatis with 1 to his name, Darren Morgan with 4. He is a very, very strong racer, is Darren Morgan, but he's had a good car all year long, but he just hasn't quite had the luck. It hasn't fallen his way. Whenever he's had a good pass, there's been a better car in the other lane that's gone quicker and faster. It's just been one of those Groundhog Day years for him. And for Martin Stamatis, it's his first time back in a car for over 2 years. It's great to have him back. He really is one of the characters of Top Fuel Racing. He's in the same car that he campaigned 2 years ago, has got a few updated bits and pieces, and it certainly can run the numbers alongside Darren Morgan. Oh, Morgs with the parachute out just after half track. He still gets the win. He finally gets some luck going his way. They take the win. They take the 20 points home. It's a solid run as well for Morgan. A 477, a very solid run. When you consider that the parachute shook out just past half track, that's a sensational effort for him. Martin Stamatis, a 506. It looked like the candles went out just a little bit early for him. Having a look at the replay for Darren Morgan, this car was on a mission. I think the guys back in the pit said, you know what, we've got nothing to lose. Let's throw everything we've got at this, and it was on a really solid pass. The parachute probably washed off maybe half a tenth to a tenth of a second, so that run was certainly in the 460s. You can see right there the parachute blossoms probably just shook out from the vibrations of the car. Sometimes that happens, unfortunately, in Top Fuel Racing. It's just the nature of the beast. Martin Stamatis, though, a lot of stuff out of the puke tank there. That is not good. That means that there's probably some bits and pieces broken inside that car, but nonetheless, it's been a solid return to Top Fuel Racing for Martin Stamatis. Terry Sainty in the All-Australian built Sainty Engineering car. Back on track, he has got a solo pass, being the low points scorer after 2 rounds of racing. Probably more of a test session for these guys, more than anything, just looking to get the car down the track. And I tell you what, that was very aggressive off the start line for Terry Sainty. He shut the car off pretty early on. I think it may have been smoking the tyres a little bit. This car is a completely different setup to just about every car in the field here this weekend. This is a billet 3-valve engine of their own design. These guys designed and manufactured this engine completely in-house. The whole car was built at their workshop. It really is an engineering marvel. The problem with that is that there's nobody else running the same combination, which means you need a different clutch setup. You need different gear ratios. It's a very different beast to the conventional Hemi-powered cars, and I really do admire their tenacity in pursuing that line of racing. It's not the easiest way to go racing, but the Sainties, they are a dedicated crew. Next up, this is a big matchup, especially in terms of the championship, because it is number 1 and 2 in the points. We have got Damien Harris on screen there, our reigning champion and current points leader. He's taking on his teammate Wayne Newby. Now, you may be thinking at home that, is there team orders between these guys? There is no team orders. Anytime these guys go head-to-head, it is all on the line. You've got the brothers doing the crew chiefing on both cars. That's Sando Jr. there, Sando Rapisada Jr. He's taking on his brother who's tuning the other car on the other side. That's Santino Rapisada. This is a really good matchup. There's so many different storylines that you can follow within the one team. and it really is a credit to this team that they can consistently put two of the quickest, best quality cars on the racetrack that we've got in this country. Oh, tyre smoke, and a very, very solid pass for Wayne Newby. A 477 at 433 kilometres per hour. That actually drags back the points differential a little bit because Damien Harris had 20 points on Wayne Newby as far as wins and losses this weekend. That means both drivers are going to go out with 20 points, which means the points differential is not going to change too much coming out of this event. Still, let's have a look and analyse this run. It looked like Harris's car may have just had a little bit too much in it. It started smoking the tyres just before the quarter track marker. Wayne Newby, on the other hand, gets it to the finish line, gets the shoots out, gets the car stopped, and in a very representative time as well, a 477 under these conditions, cooling temperatures here in Sydney, and that's a solid run. And now we move on to the money round. This is what it's all come down to here at the Nitro Champs. The other runs in this have really just been a consolation for the other guys, but this one is for the trophy. Mark Mariani, left of screen, the family team from Sydney. This is their home race track, and they've got a new sponsor on board this weekend, the Lafan Group, and they're putting on a great show for those guys. They would love to take home the big trophy, but there's one man standing in their way, and that's Peter Giberis on the other side of the racetrack. The Premier Hire Top Fuel Dragster, the Nitro Thunder team. It's got a very, very smart man in the form of Tim Adams doing the tuning on that car. And Peter Giberis, a local Sydney sider. The car is based in Queensland, but Giberis himself is a New South Welshman. So both cars racing, or both drivers racing in front of their home crowd. They'd love to take home a win for the local crowd here. Crew chief for Mark Mariani, Mike Domagala, out from the United States of America. He wants to make that trip from the US count, and I would suggest that going home with anything short of the winner's trophy would probably be a little bit of a disappointment for Mike. Strong pass, a pedal for Mariani, and a big pedal for Peter Giberis, and Mariani takes it. The hometown team takes the win, and look at the excitement and the jubilation on the faces of the crew. Mark Mariani has won this event before as a driver for Sando Rapasada, but this is his first win as a team owner, and I tell you, there'll be a lot of emotion going on inside that car. You can see the hands are on the helmet. He is beside himself with joy inside that car. This team has put so much effort into the promotion of the sport and the promotion of their team. They took the car to Melbourne for the Grand Prix. They did some fire-ups down there. They take the car to NRL games. They'll put it on display anywhere they can. And that was just a flat-out good drive job from Mark Mariani. It looked like it was shaking the tyres a little bit before half-track. He pedalled it ever so slightly, just tried to let the rear tyres settle down, and it was just enough to get it to hook up again. Peter Giberis had similar problems over in the other lane. He pedalled it a couple of times. He actually got over the centre line in the end, which is instant disqualification, but it didn't matter anyway because Mark Mariani was already across the finish line. And have a look at the crew. Just ecstasy. All the hours of work that they put in back at the workshop, all the hours of work that they put in at the track, the late nights, it all comes down to this, the pure joy and celebration. And I tell you, there's going to be a good old-fashioned Italian party going on in that pit area tonight. So the final points for this event, Mark Mariani takes it home on 89, Peter Giberis in there with 74. Wayne Newby ekes out his teammate by 1 point, followed by Darren Morgan, Martin Stamatis and Terry Sainty rounding out the field.
Mate, legendary. I love it. That was the wish played out to a T. You know, everything, the highs, the lows, the lead up to the event, a fantastic sponsor for the event, and we've got a great partner, Leaf Fan Group, Phil, Make-A-Wish. Well, wish got granted. Mate, oh, not usually speechless on the things actually. Here, you come here. Come here. This dude here is why we're here this weekend, and I think we gave him the ultimate prize.
Always believed in Mark, always believed in his family and what they stand for. You know, Make-A-Wish again, and proud supporters of them, and yeah, looking forward to a beautiful future relationship with the Marianis. So yeah, very, very proud of what you've done. Our hearts were pumping just as much as yours. Don't worry about that.
So the championship points coming out of this event, Damien Harris maintains his lead, but it's narrowed by 1 point. Wayne Newby right in behind him, his teammate Darren Morgan in third, Mark Sheehan fourth, Corey McLenathan, Peter Gibberis, Mark Mariani, our event winner from the Nitro Champs, and Terry Sainty rounding out the top 8. On next week's show, we've got all the action coming up from the Pro Slammers here in Sydney. That is going to be a huge show. Don't miss it. Well, that's all we've got time for here today at the Nitro Champs. For more information on the series, check out the website 400thunder.com.au. We'll see you next time here from Sydney Dragway.